Hello my lovelies and welcome to the Queen's Curry Kitchen, my little tiny kitchen in Queens where I make curry. Now, what kind of day do you think we're having right here in New York? Well, it's raining and it's middle of the morning, but it's a rainy morning. And that, my dear friends, is the perfect time to eat something that is made on the grill, something that's interesting, something that's exciting. You don't want to eat any heavy food. So today what I'm going to do is, because 4th of July is also coming up, I thought I'd do a series of spice blends that you can do for your barbecues. And it doesn't matter whether you eat plant-based or you like your chicken or fish or whatever it is that you want to take to a barbecue. I will teach you some spice blends every single day that you can build up in your repertoire. That way you can have a very flavorful 4th of July celebration. So today the spice blend that I'm talking about is called a Tikka Masala. And I'm not only going to show you what it takes, because I've done it with very simple supermarket ingredients, nothing exotic. You don't have to go and buy anything special. Whatever you don't have, you can skip. It is not what pizza is to cheese, what cheese is to pizza, right? I think I need another cup of chai to get my brain in order, especially when it starts raining like this. You will just crave chai and pakoras. One of these days I'm going to do a chai and pakora recipe and I'll make them right next to each other side by side. But for now, it's going back to the spices. So I will teach you how to make this dry spice blend, and I will also teach you how to use it on something that you can then take to your potluck or take to a barbecue, or you can just make it at home. And if you're stuck indoors and you don't know what to do on 4th of July, you can just make it on your stovetop or your grill pan inside your house. So either way, the recipe works, and I'm going to quickly flip the camera so you can see all the goodies that I have lined out for you right over here. There you go. Big warm welcome to all the people that are tuning in. I greatly appreciate that you decide to join me every single day. All right, so this tikka masala involves some spices that have to be roasted and some that are going to be used just the way they are. And I've tried to keep it very simple, but it might seem like a lot of ingredients, but then again, you can make this ahead of time and you can put it in a jar and leave it in your fridge and then use it whenever you feel like you need to do a grilling recipe or something tandoori. And I'm going to show it to you with some of the very easily available ingredients that we find in the supermarket. Now, also, if you're doing a plant-based recipe, like let's say you're doing a tandoori mushroom, you can actually just slather on all these spices and you can put it on the grill right away. There is really no waiting time. However, if you're doing an animal protein, then you want to marinate them for at least a minimum of half an hour to 40 minutes inside your fridge. Overnight is best for maximum results. And then you can start grilling the way you would grill any other food that you have. And you can use the mix for kebabs. You can use it for minced kebabs. You can use it for tikkas, which is literally the chunky pieces. All right, so I will give you exact proportions and I will tell you the technique that we need to use. So we are going to need, and I have actually done away with all of the whole spices. So typically, traditionally, you would use whole spices. So you would use whole cinnamon, you would use whole peppercorns, whole cardamom, whole star anise, whole cloves, but I've tried to simplify the process as much as I can. So the first thing that we're going to need is coriander seed powder. So for that, we're going to use whole coriander seeds. We will also need cumin seeds. We are going to need dry red chilies. These are not spicy. They add more color than heat. So the proportion, this is about 2.5 tablespoons. This is about 1.5 tablespoons. And these are about 8 or 9 of the chilies. We are going to dry roast these 3, and then we are going to allow it to cool. Once that happens, we are going to add cinnamon, which is right here, and it's already powdered, so I don't have to dry roast it, I don't have to grind it. I'm going to use cinnamon powder, I'm going to use clove powder. And if you don't have all these individually, if you have pumpkin pie spice in your cabinet, just give it a couple of dashes of that. That pretty much has all of your whole spices. And yes, it might seem like I sound like I'm a crazy person, but I tell you, when you put pumpkin pie spice instead of the Indian masalas in any of your food, you're going to get those layers of flavor. So basically the idea of roasting all of these and adding them in different proportions into the dry rub, into the tandoori tikka masala. The idea is to build the layers of flavor so that when you actually start cooking, you'll be able to get a nice flavorful aromatic balance, right? Clove powder. We are also going to use 2 star anise. These are really small and they're kind of half broken or whatever the natural shape is. But if you have 1 full star anise, you can use that. I'm also using cardamom, which is already in a ground form because I grind it for my chai, right? So that's going on. And we will also be adding salt to taste. We will add some turmeric powder. We will add 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder. We will add paprika powder, which is 1 tablespoon, which kind of gives it that classic red color when you eat any tandoori tikka dish. And it also calls for citric acid, but we are not going to do that. We will marinate it using fresh lemon juice, so we're not going to use any citric acid. Also, this recipe calls for food color, but I rely greatly on my paprika and my turmeric because they're so pure that they give the best color altogether. And then we will just, dry roast all of this stuff, which needs to happen. Ginger powder, onion powder, and garlic powder is something that you will put to taste. Ginger is not supposed to be very overpowering, and nor is garlic. Typically, the proportion of onion powder to garlic powder is that you put maximum amount of onion powder, and then half of that is garlic powder, and half of that is ginger powder. So if you're putting 2 tablespoons of onion powder, then you're going to put 1 tablespoon of garlic powder and half a tablespoon of ginger powder. Again, personal preferences could be different. If you like something that's more gingery, definitely add the dry ginger powder. And after grinding, you're going to slow roast it. You're going to let it cool, and then you will grind it in your coffee grinder. Once that is done, you're going to use a strainer and strain all of these things. And then you can actually take an airtight container or a jar and store it. And this is exactly what it's going to look like. So this has been strained, right? And see how fine this is. So this is this is very similar to the blends that I sell through my website, and it's called the Tandoori Magic. This is what I've made for my house because we use a lot of grilled stuff in the summertime, and I like to grill my vegetables, and this is what I use. It smells extremely aromatic. The only different thing that I do for my home is I do add a little bit of curry powder because I just like that depth of flavor. This is a regular cut of mushrooms that I bought, just a box of mushrooms that I bought. And I've cut it into 4s because they were really large. If you want, you can actually thread it through a skewer and just keep them whole. It's totally up to you. We're going to go ahead and sprinkle some tandoori powder. This already has salt, so if you like a little bit of heat, you can also add black pepper. You're going to add that. And what I've added to this, in order for it to make it possible to stick to the vegetables better, is also a little bit of cornstarch. So if you don't have corn flour, you can add chickpea flour, which is what this has, and it has to be dry roasted. But if you're a little lazy and you don't feel like roasting anything, just add some cornstarch. That should do it. Okay. And these spices are pretty intense and very potent, so you don't want to you really don't want to have too much of it, right? And you're going to give it a good toss. These are just washed and dried mushrooms. You're going to give it a good toss. They're a little bit damp, so they take it on really well. You can add a little lemon juice, like I mentioned. Thank you, Gurneet. That's very generous of you and very kind of you to say that. And you have sampled some of my food whenever you've come to my house, so I totally trust your testimony. Right? So you see how well these are coated, and it's also like coating my hands. So if you have a sensitivity to spices or sensitivity to chilies, please use gloves. Yeah, one more reason to wear gloves. Also, when you're grinding the spices, please wear a mask, because when you open your coffee grinder, it might be a little too overpowering for you. All right, so look, that's all you need to do. It is literally the easiest no-brainer recipe on this planet. I'm gonna step away for a minute and grab some oil, and I'm gonna grab some lemon juice just to make it as real as I think I want to keep it. So there you go, just a squirt of oil and a little bit of hint of lemon juice. Now when you buy store-bought spice blends or store-bought tandoori mix, they always have MSG in them. They have, chicken powder sometimes. They have bouillon. So if you're a vegetarian, you could not be sure what you're eating. And you certainly don't want to put the MSG in your body. I really don't see any reason why anybody should eat that. Okay, so you can see my mushrooms are ready to go. And I'm going to bring you over here to my stove where I have a hot pan going. So come with me. It's time to do some traveling. Yay! See, it makes you jump with joy. Alright, so I hope you can see this pan. Let me just adjust this for a second. Yeah, this is some real-time cooking, right? So we don't fool around. I'll show it to you exactly like it is. This is not the magic of television. This is real stuff out here. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of oil. And you just want to, just make sure that your pan is super duper hot. If you don't want to pan fry them, you can actually make it in a grill pan. You can also air fry these mushrooms. You can bake them. So there's many ways to do it. You can thread them on a skewer with some bell peppers. There's many ways to do this. Okay? And just wait for it to get really hot. When you put your hand here, you shouldn't be able to hold it there for too long. Some people also like to sprinkle a little bit of sugar to balance out the flavors. Hello, Monica. How is Canada doing? I'm just going to put this face down. Now, the trick is you don't really touch them too much so that they can get the char. And if you want to do this with portobello mushrooms, oh my God, I am telling you, you make a burger out of it, it will give any meat-based burger a run for its money. So do the same exact thing, but slather it on a portobello mushroom. Honey, email me and thank me, okay? You have my email, right? queenscurrykitchen@gmail.com. Yeah, that's where you send the thank you notes. And if you're too lazy to make the blends, then for sure you can absolutely order it online, because I already have it for you. Right? But these are just really simple, and they can actually make a huge difference to your 4th of July repertoire. And every day I'll be teaching you a new one. So if you could, if you want, you can go back to my Instagram posts and check out what recipes I'm doing live for the spice blends. And I will do it right up to the end of this week. Right? So just be very patient. Put them in there, not too much oil. And you can see that it's not red because I didn't use the food coloring, but it does have a nice color. And also remember that to this house blend, I added some curry powder, Indian curry powder. So don't try to overcrowd the pan, just use a little bit. I'm probably going to have to clean my hands and get a pair of tongs, right? Okay, so if any of you have had some, tandoori experiences, if you're the person who's always behind the grill, or your husband is behind the grill and you're constantly running out of ideas, this is just super easy. If you were doing this with chicken or fish or shrimp, you just take everything, you put it in a Ziploc bag, you squirt some lemon juice, and you give it a good shake with the tandoori mix powder, and you let it sit in your fridge for about 30 to 40 minutes, and boom, you're good to go, right? So I'm all about easy cooking. It doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to cost you an arm and a leg, which is why I try to stay away from exotic ingredients when I do my FB Live videos, because it has to be accessible to all, right? Let me just quickly show you what this is shaping up to be. Oh my God. You have to be here to smell how amazing my kitchen smells right now. Check this out. You see how charred it is? I don't know if you can see it. You see the charring on it? Oh my God, this is like totally drool worthy. So what I like to do sometimes is I like to just grill a bunch of things and then leave it in my fridge so that I can top it on my salad, I can make a wrap out of it, and I can do a whole bunch of things. But once it's already grilled, assembling anything out of it does not take that long. So it's a lot of fun to work that way. Just a little bit of planning. And I bought 2 boxes of mushrooms at once, so I might just do a big batch of these. You can see the color is coming on very nicely. You can do it in a cast iron skillet. You can do it on one of those long pans, the grill pans that go on the stove top. Like I said, you can also bake it. Absolutely stunning results. You don't have to chop anything. You don't have to clean up anything. Just put all this in a Ziploc bag. Give it a toss. Have a little extra room in here. Any other part of the world that you find their cuisine is exciting, try to get behind the flavor profile and try to capture it in your every act. So this also makes a great side dish. Let's say if you had it on skewers and you were just grilling individual skewers, they won't shrink as much, but it's a great side dish that you can serve along with a nice potato salad, along with some nice greens, with a tzatziki sauce, something creamy, you know, to complement the mushrooms. Some nice pita bread. There's so many ways you could go with this. Or maybe with some naan, with some cucumber raita. Just like they serve it in the Indian restaurants with all the tikka dishes that you get. Some pickled onions. Oh my God, are you kidding me? You can really build it up. It is an act of patience, for sure. But you know what? If you can do 10 minutes of grilling and have something to eat for 2-3 nights of the week or quick lunches, you can certainly devote 10 minutes to eating well, right? Even if you order food on an app, it takes about 15 minutes to come. So if you haven't learned how to eat right in this lockdown, then it's just about excuses. It never was your priority. Just saying. Alright, so my first lot is done.